Son, maybe it's time you moved to a nursing home. Those words from my son felt like a punch to my chest last month. Nursing home. For me, it felt like the end of everything. But here I am now living comfortably on just 5,000 pesos per month with no nursing home and no full-time caregiver, and I'll tell you how I did it. I'm Dr. Alina Kevalis, and today I'll share the story of Mang Roberto de la Cruz, who worked 40 years at a major company in Makati, retired as a senior executive thinking his life was set, but when his wife passed away 7 years ago, everything changed. Suddenly, the house became silent, hospital visits became unbearably difficult, and every day he asked himself, where do I belong now? I see some of you nodding your heads as maybe you're asking the same question. When you reach your 70s, everyone has opinions about how you should live, move in with your children, hire a caregiver, go to a nursing home. But here's what nobody tells you. Maybe none of those options are right for you. Before we continue, please hit the like button and subscribe as this channel shares stories that might change how you think about aging. And trust me, today's story will give you a completely different perspective. So let me tell you what happened when Mang Roberto tried all three traditional options and why in the end he chose none of them. Several months after his wife passed, he lived alone, and at first he managed fine cooking, driving, handling his tasks, but gradually everything changed with his shoulder hurting constantly, his legs shaking when going downstairs, opening containers becoming difficult, carrying groceries exhausting him. One night he slipped in the bathroom with no serious injury, but it frightened him, and that night lying in bed he thought, what if something worse happens? So he called his son David, asking if he could stay with them for a while. David didn't hesitate, saying, of course you should have asked sooner, and his daughter-in-law welcomed him warmly with his grandchildren, hugging him at the door. The first week felt wonderful, with family dinners and laughter in the living room, making him think this is what I need. But then reality arrived. David and his wife both worked long hours while the kids had school, sports, and friends. So by the second week, he found himself alone at home almost daily, just like before, except now in someone else's house. Small conflicts began emerging. Dad, can you use less salt for your blood pressure? Dad, can you lower the TV? The kids have homework. And he understood they weren't being cruel, but every comment felt like a reminder that you're just a visitor here, you're in the way. One night, he overheard his daughter-in-law on the phone saying, I know we're doing the right thing, but honestly, it's exhausting. I can't go shopping without worrying. And when we go out, he's so quiet, you can tell he's sad not being included. Those words crushed his heart as he realized living with family doesn't mean you won't be lonely. Sometimes the loneliness is worse because you're surrounded by people but still invisible. One viewer commented that living with your children seems nice, but everyone needs their own space. It's better to stay independent as long as you can, and they were right. After 3 months, he told David he was going home. And despite David's safety concerns, he insisted needing his own space and to stop being a burden. Returning home brought relief, but also the weight of reality as he couldn't do everything alone anymore, with his wrists hurting when lifting pails, dropping things, exhausting cleaning, and stares reminding him daily he's not young. One afternoon, while changing a light bulb, his hands started shaking. The bulb fell. He grabbed the wall to stand with his heart pounding fast, thinking this is how elderly people end up in hospitals. So he looked into hiring a caregiver. Not full-time, which felt too invasive, but maybe part-time help, 5 days a week for 3 hours daily. The first caregiver was Maria in her mid-50s, warm and experienced, and though it felt awkward having a stranger in his kitchen touching his things, after a few weeks, he relaxed as Maria cleaned efficiently, cooked simple meals, ran errands, and they even talked sometimes, making him think maybe this will work. Then the bills arrived, and even part-time care cost thousands monthly, while his social security was only 15,000 pesos, and though he had savings, watching his account drain each month made this unsustainable. More problems emerged as he wanted the kitchen cleaned right after breakfast, but Maria preferred later, small differences that ate at him. Wondering why should I adjust to someone else's routine in my own house, and then Maria left for a family emergency, forcing him to start over with a new person with different habits and personality. The third caregiver lasted 1 month, the fourth 2 weeks, and each time someone new entered his door, he had to explain everything again until he was exhausted. He read one online comment saying health is everything. If you're healthy, you can live alone or with others, it doesn't matter. The problem comes when your body fails and freedom disappears. making him think I'm not there yet, so why am I paying 15,000 monthly to live like I already am? He cancelled the service and now had no options, or so he thought. David found a facility nearby costing 15,000 monthly with clean rooms, medical staff and meals included, suggesting he try it for 1 month just to see, and he agreed because he was tired of thinking alone. The day he moved in felt strange, like checking into a hospital when he wasn't even sick, and his room was small but clean, though nothing like home. The first few days weren't bad as he met other residents, played cards, talked about old days, and the food was decent. But by the end of the first week, he started feeling trapped. Wake at 6, breakfast 7:30, lunch at 12, dinner 5:30, lights out at 9. But he's a night owl wanting to read until midnight. Yet here at 9, they turn off hallway lights, and when they see light under his door, the nurse knocks saying, "Mr. De La Cruz, it's time to sleep." He's 75 years old, made his own decisions for 75 years, and now a stranger tells him when to sleep. One night, wanting to walk outside with nice weather, cool air, clear sky, he walked toward the exit, but staff stopped him, saying outdoor time ended at 7, safety policy, and those two words became his prison. The worst part was he wasn't that sick, he could walk, his mind was clear, he could care for himself, yet here he lived like he'd lost all independence. His roommate snored like a chainsaw every night. He requested a room switch, but they said, "Let's see what we can do," and nothing changed. After 3 weeks, he called David saying, "I'm leaving. You said 1 month, but this isn't living. I'd rather struggle at home than be comfortable in a cage." The day he left, the sun seemed brighter, the air fresher. He was free again. But returning home, he felt relief, yet still stuck, having tried everything: family, caregivers, nursing home, and none worked. For days he did nothing, just sat on his porch watching the neighborhood with life happening around him, but separated from it. Then one afternoon, walking through the park, he passed an elementary school at 3 o'clock with kids streaming out and parents picking them up, and he saw Sarah, who lived in his building, always rushing, always stressed, on her phone, pacing back and forth, saying, "I can't leave early again. Mike, my boss already warned me last week." She hung up looking like she'd cry, and he knew her situation with a traveling husband, caring for a 6-year-old almost alone. Without thinking, he approached, saying, "Excuse me, Sarah. If you need someone to pick up your child, I'm willing to help." Sarah was shocked, saying, "I can't ask you that." But he said, "You're not asking, I'm offering. I pass here daily." And she asked if he was sure. He was sure, asking, "What's her name?" And Sarah said, "Emma. Grade 1, I'll be here tomorrow at 3. That's how it started. As next day, he picked up Emma and walked her home, while she talked about her day, her teacher, her friends. And when Sarah came home at 5, she knocked on his door with a plate of food, saying, "I cooked extra dinner. Please take this." He tried refusing, but she insisted, saying, "You're helping me, let me help you." And this became their routine, with him picking up Emma daily, while Sarah left food for him. But it became more as Sarah's husband fixed his leaking faucet, Sarah helped him with online bill pay, and Emma drew pictures for him with stick figures of them walking under a big sun that he stuck on his door. One night, Sarah said, "You know, you changed our lives. I was drowning before you came," and he smiled, saying, "You changed mine too. I forgot what it felt like to be needed." That was it. That was the key. He didn't need someone to care for him. He needed to still matter, to still contribute. He read one comment saying the key isn't living with family all alone, but staying healthy and building community that helps each other, and that person understood exactly what he discovered. Now let me be clear. I'm not saying you should do exactly what he did, as your situation may differ. Maybe you're sicker than him. Maybe living with your children really works for you. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but here's what he learned. First, you don't have to choose between total independence and total dependence, as there's middle ground where you can accept help without giving up control and contribute without exhausting yourself. Second, community matters more than money, as he spent 15,000 monthly on caregivers and still felt lonely. Now he spends 5,000 and feels more connected than in years, because money buys services but not relationships. Sarah doesn't help him because he pays her, but because he helps her, and that's different. Third, you still have something valuable to give, as people think I'm old now, slowing down. What can I offer? But turns out plenty, as he has time and experience. He can walk a 6-year-old home. He can listen when someone needs to talk. Age doesn't make you worthless, it just changes what you give. Fourth, aging doesn't mean your life is over, as helping Sarah reminded him his life isn't finished. Just different, he's not climbing corporate ladders anymore, but he's still here and still matters. Now he lives on his terms with Sarah's family, having dinner with him twice weekly, Emma drawing pictures for him, and he started helping other neighbors too. Not formal arrangements, just neighbors who realized we're all in this together. People ask, but what if you really get sick? And that's fair. Maybe one day he'll need more help and revisit those options, but for now he's living. And when that day comes, he'll face it the same way by finding what works for him, not what society says he should do. If you're watching this wondering what to do when you can't take care of yourself anymore, here's my answer. Don't think traditional options are your only choices. Look around your community and ask yourself, what can I still give? Who might need what I have? Maybe you're good with children, maybe you're good with finances, maybe you just know how to listen. One commenter said it perfectly. The first condition is always health. Stay healthy and everything else becomes easier, and they're absolutely right. So care for your body as that's your foundation. But beyond health, build relationships. Not because you'll need help someday, but because life is richer when you're connected. Mang Roberto is 75, living alone but not lonely, and not waiting for the day he can't manage. He's living now on his terms. If this story resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe, share it, and leave a comment telling me what your plan is for your golden years, as I want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and remember, your best years aren't behind you. You're still here and you still matter. I'm Dr. Alina Cavalis, and until we meet again, take care of yourselves and love yourselves.